Just look at the state of the world right now. Look at the last few presidents that we've had. And I think that's gives a good clue that the quality of thinking, creative thinking, has diminished over the years to the point now where we actually believe that small-minded men with no sense of what's good for humanity in the future, they don't look beyond the election cycle, is an indication that our education system is now having the effect of making us stupid. It's essential if we want to exist as a people. We are so close to losing our country, and it's only because we've gotten a poor education system that has now taken effect in such a way that we elect leaders that do not work in our best interest. The level of debate, the level of dialogue in the country is infantile. It's degenerated into mere shouting and jingoism, and that is a result of any sense of a higher quality of thinking, which is what classical creativity, which is embodied in classical creativity. Which is not to say that there isn't creative people around and that sort of thing, but what gets rewarded is a kind of trite creativity, a kind of pop creativity that is like popcorn. You eat it now and you forget that there's no sustenance to it. It's like cotton candy. So the quality or lack thereof of creative thinking can be measured in the quality of life in our country. Definitely, we've elected Obama, we've elected 2 Bushes, we've elected Richard Nixon, we've elected Ronald Reagan, with a brief respite with Bill Clinton, who's very smart but still caved into this idiot Newt Gingrich, and how you could even cave into somebody like Newt Gingrich is beyond me. But this is what happens when a culture is degenerating for lack of a scientific rigor. Shakespeare and Schiller represent the highest quality of creativity in literature, and represent the highest achievement in creativity with their plays and their poetry. They represent the very highest quality of thinking that humans can aspire to. They set the bar, the highest, as far as something to reach for when it comes to creativity and creative thinking. So in studying Shakespeare and Schiller, we are organizing our minds to think like them. And so consequently, what's happening is that we are expanding as human beings. We are really getting to know what it is to be a creative human being. And so that's, I don't know if I'm explaining that very, very well, other than saying that it's fun to do this stuff. It is fun, but it also has a higher purpose, which is to provide a mirror to the rest of the culture that this is available to us. This high quality of thinking, this high quality of creativity has been achieved, and that's what we should be trying to emulate, instead of emulating these small thinking, these you know leaders of ours that not just in politics but in so-called art and in the pop art world, they really are essentially redundant. They say the same old trite thing, and it gets dumber and dumber and dumber until now we are more interested in saving that tree than people dying in misery in Africa and the Third World and even in our own country. The one person that stands out for me is Johannes Brahms, because he was writing music in emulation and in dialogue with the masters of the past, Beethoven and Bach especially. But he was surrounded by a culture that was degenerating, and he refused to compromise. So he was not popular as a person amongst a lot of the other composers of the time and a lot of the other so-called leaders of his time. He was alone. He stood alone, but he didn't compromise. And so he was lonely in that there was nobody else. Very few other people were in this active fight. He actively fought against the degeneracy of the culture. This is something that he woke up to and went to sleep doing, fighting that, and he fought it through his music. So he didn't degenerate into what Richard Strauss and Mahler and Bruckner and Liszt and all of these people that were writing music that was essentially sensual in nature and not challenging the mind. He was challenging the mind and not our dance steps. So I really look up to him. He's a great role model. Poetry exists on several levels, the way the mind does. And so the mind grasps those intangible qualities, even though it may not be immediately clear what your mind is absorbing. It's clear that it's working on several levels at the same time, and that's what a great poem will do. It has a literal meaning and it has a subtextual meaning, and a great poem will live through all ages. It'll speak to every era. So I think maybe that might be the reason a great poem affects us on several levels, and often we don't know why we're moved, but we are moved, and so it's this quality of metaphor and irony. I think that is so that the mind the mind goes, yes, give me more of that, even though we consciously can't always define what it is that's moving us, challenging us, our intellect. There was another thing that happened when I was a kid, when John Kennedy was shot. You just knew something was wrong. Something awful was going on. And then on national television, you see Oswald. You hear him say, I'm just a patsy." And then someone kills him in the Dallas police station, surrounded by cops, and somebody actually gets a chance to get in there and shoot him. You know something's wrong. You know there's a force moving in the world that you can't define as a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, but you're watching this on television, and you just know there's something really, really wrong here. It's not their intention to create a renaissance. It's not their intention to lift up humanity. It's their intention to exploit the dollar that is in their neighbor's pocket. Get them to go see my movie. I'll write a movie about avatars and, you know, fantasy, or, you know, mafia men are really, stories of mafia are really popular now. Hollywood is only several individuals in the whole history of movie making have been interested in speaking to man about these principles, these ideas, and you can count them on your hand. So I don't think Hollywood is just a reflection of the culture. So you have some individuals that really want to do that, but most people are just, you know, I'm going to create a product that's going to make me a lot of money, so that I can have another chance to create a product to make more money. And so Hollywood is irrelevant in the creation of a renaissance, even though with all the tools available to it, it could. I mean, it could be very effective. And you think about the ramp up to World War, leading into World War II. The country was on a mission, and that's what we can do. Not just during war or when we're in a crisis, but if we applied the same mission day in, day out, year after year, in spite of whatever condition exists in the world, then we would have a better chance of creating a renaissance. But Hollywood is just a reflection of our times right now, unfortunately. It's about making money. It's about selfish interests.